So today, blue sky, sunshine, there really is a feel that summer is here. And where better to be than in the heart of the Suffolk countryside, just on the outskirts of Laxfield. And I'm going to show you something for me that's just brilliant and a property that keeps on giving. Here we are at Lodge Farm. If you asked anybody to describe that sort of chocolate box image, picture postcard property, look at that. I think that's exactly what you would get. Suffolk longhouse, pink, utterly charming. And sense of arrival, look at this. A gravel drive with lawn either side. This property certainly knows how to make an entrance. So let me show you inside. The first thing you notice when you walk into Lodge Farm is the feeling. It has such a comfortable feel to it, a really homely feel. Now, whether that's because from the timbers or the light or just the space, but it really does feel a fantastic home. And it's really hard when you have period houses. Often they don't adapt well to modern living, but here at Lodge Farm, that is the polar opposite. I've already mentioned comfort, and here in the formal dining room, that's exactly what you get. You can really imagine wonderful family gatherings and Sunday lunch overlooking the garden. It's just a lovely place to be. They say that the kitchen should be always the heart of the home, and that's exactly what you get here at Lodge Farm. Centred around this brilliant Aga. Well, I'm a keen cook and can really imagine cooking those big Sunday lunches here. And then off here, the informality continues into this really lovely, snug. Once you've eaten in the evening, coming here to relax, watch TV, and it's just all about the comfort in this house. And the whole house envelops you. But what's brilliant about it, you can imagine it in the winter, you can imagine it in the summer. It's just perfectly set up all year round. I've already mentioned that this is a house that keeps on giving. So we have self-contained office, utility room, and then off the main drawing room is this brilliant room that could be used for a variety of purposes. Vendors have used it as a party room with a bar. Well, can you imagine Christmas? The Christmas tree up, people laughing and joking, and where better than to have your own bar and a drink? Well, if it's a rainy, snowy day, you don't even have to go to the pub. I'm quite happy, I think I might stay here. The one thing you really notice about Lodge Farm is the light, and that's something that's quite unusual with a lot of farmhouses, often because the windows are so small. But look at this, so fantastic the size of this window, and I love the height of it, that from the bed that you can look straight out into the garden and who's coming up the drive. It's just brilliant because you feel so connected with your space. The one thing you really notice when you're walking around Lodge Farm is the feeling of space. So with 5 double bedrooms up here, just goes to show the versatility. But what I really love is the secondary staircase that goes straight down and into the kitchen. So imagine that in the middle of the night, you want a cup of tea. Well, you don't have to travel far. Absolutely brilliant. When you look at grand formal houses, whether they be Victorian or Georgian, they're set up for staff, and so there's often a lot of rooms, but the houses just don't work and flow as a home. What's brilliant about a farmhouse is because of the informality in the setup, it's about practicality. Look at the space in this boot room, and straight outside, let me take you. Now, if one large farmhouse isn't enough, Lodge Farm has outstanding secondary accommodation. Now, originally this was a granary, but has been superbly converted into ancillary accommodation. Now, whether you want to use that for multi-generational living, or whether you want to use it potentially for a holiday let, it is perfectly set up with its own garden and away from the house. Let me take you in here. And look at this space. Standing in here, you're just wowed by the sense of light and the proportions, but equally still hearing that bird song in the background. It's all about calm and relaxing, and that's exactly what you get here. So if it's a relative living in here, or you're coming here for a short break, well, I think either way, I'd be very happy. So whoever thought about this space when they converted it really thought about the versatility. So you have a shower room downstairs and another reception room that could easily be used as a bedroom. So if you've got more guests, then it works. If you've got multi-generational living, it's future-proofed. The space continues, and with 2 double bedrooms, both with en-suites up here, this really is fantastic space. But what for me makes it so special, just look at the size of the windows on either side. Looking out on either greenery there or a walled garden here, it really is something very special indeed. Now, I've mentioned the walled garden, but for all you sun worshippers out there, check this out. I mean, south facing, what an amazing place to be. Who needs to be in the Riviera when you could be sitting here, sipping champagne in the sun? So it's not just the house and the granary that add to the versatility of this property. There's also a number of outbuildings, easily enough garaging for 5 cars and parking for many more. So perfectly set up for parties, but it carries on. Now, the vendors have equestrian interests and they've adapted the property to suit those needs. But it could easily be changed if you have other requirements. There's a massive barn which I'll show you now. Look at this space. Well, if you're like the vendor and you need to house a tractor, it does that. If you've got an area that needs a workshop, it does that. But can you imagine, for those that have a car collection, wouldn't this just be perfect? Tucked away and plenty of room. You can tinker on those vehicles till your heart's content. So I mentioned that the vendors have set the property up for equestrian use. They even installed this menage which is perfectly placed, connecting to the paddocks. And it's not just about paddocks. You've got woodland, you've got other areas. You just feel like you're connected in your own bubble here, which is just wonderful. And for those that are escaping the rat run and the treadmill, for me, this really is the epitome of country living, and it doesn't get much better. See, look at this little area of woodland. Absolutely charming. Goes over a stream that feeds the pond. Well, can you imagine children running around playing in here all day long, just coming back when they're hungry? It really is charming. And then lo and behold, back into the formal area that surrounds the house. For me, this is such a special home, but it's a special home that has so much, and not just having so much, but has so much to give. If you like Lodge Farm, then contact us to arrange a viewing.